Mr. President, overall, South Korea has done 5 times more tests than the U.S. per capita. Why is that?
I don't think that's true.
That is true. And you said this morning that the White House said the U.S. passes South Korea in virus testing.
Who are you with?
Yahoo News. And it's not true per capita.
Do you want to respond to that? If you have the numbers.
Overall, we've had 14 times more infections than South Korea. So are we doing something wrong, and why is that? They have a very dense population.
Yeah, our epidemic looks much more like the European epidemic. So right now we're tracking very close to the countries in Europe, and we're testing at their rate of their concentrated epidemics and where they're occurring in the metros. To our Yahoo gentlemen, I just want to make it clear that South Korea's testing was 11 per 100,000, and we're at 17 per 100,000. So
are you going to apologize, Yahoo? That's why you're Yahoo, and nobody knows who the hell you are. Go ahead, let's go.
Based on the numbers I've seen,
that's why nobody knows who you are, including me. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
just check it again.
You ought to get your facts right before you.
Well, we have had 14
Okay, well, your facts are wrong.
Maryland actually had to get tests from South Korea. That's how unprepared the United States was. And it's just Trump, it's tried and true. He goes after the reporter for asking the question as opposed to just giving some sort of answer because he has no answer. He has no answer for why we were so ill prepared to actually deal with the coronavirus. And South Korea is a case study. They were able to flatten their curve fairly early on, and they aren't a totalitarian government like China, which says it's flattened its curve, but who actually knows what the information is coming out of there. South Korea is a democracy. It has a progressive president, President Moon Jae-in, and they did an excellent job objectively. Trump can't handle that information. He, of course, lashes out at the reporter, says nobody knows who you are. It's like Mean Girls starring Regina George, and Trump is just a way less sophisticated Regina George, and he's the president of the United States. And again, here's the reality. South Korea, immediately when the virus was starting to trickle out in China, they started getting a jump start on testing, and it worked. News that China had reported its first case of the coronavirus was enough reason for South Korean leaders and medical staff to brace themselves for the worst. By early February, the first test had been approved. Active collaboration among central and regional government officials and medical staff took place before cases began piling up, enabling South Korea's current testing capacity of 20,000 people a day at 633 sites, including drive-through centers and even phone booths. So they set up the testing infrastructure quite early on and have continued to roll out the necessary tests to make sure that their population doesn't get infected and that their healthcare system isn't overwhelmed, and that's what the reporter was pointing out there. Trump can't handle it. In February, the first tests had been approved. They were already lickety-split getting it done. Trump didn't do anything throughout the month of February, which is widely documented. He continued to host campaign rallies with thousands of people. He didn't prepare for ventilators. He didn't prepare tests. He didn't do any of that stuff. He was worried about getting his sugar high from his campaign rallies, which is the thing that keeps him stimulated. And yeah, he did his travel ban January 31st. It went into effect a few days later at the beginning of February. Did nothing after that. And so that's why South Korea was so prepared. That's why they continue to be so prepared. And Trump cannot handle it. And Dr. Birx, kind of backing him up as his wingman there. That's gross, We look at the news for information. Dr. Fauci obviously is a trustworthy source, but this Trump administration circle and their defensiveness is toxic. And the fact that, he continues to treat reporters in this way, I maintain that it's the most effective way to combat Trump is these targeted, specific fact-based attacks, not focusing on his decorum in Twitter. Just show these exchanges between reporters, and perhaps trust in media will rise, trust in Trump will fall.